Have you ever thought about offering lawn aeration? Today we're going to talk about the ins and outs of lawn aeration and how it can be profitable for your business. I'm Frank, and I'm all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs start and grow their lawn care business. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button so you're notified of my future videos. What's going on, lawn care pros? So today we're going to talk about some of the challenges that we face as entrepreneurs when we plan everything and things just don't go right. So today we kind of finished up our lawn aeration for the season, at least the spring lawn aeration. We're going to do another fall lawn aeration possibly. So for the spring lawn aeration, we generally try to get that done in April, May. We don't want to try to extend that out any further than that. And this year was kind of challenging because in April and especially in May, we had tons of rain. So now here it is, a few months later, early summer, and we just finished up the lawn aeration. So I want you to just realize that those obstacles are going to come your way and you're going to have to just pivot and continue doing the best you can. And that's what we did, and we just wrapped it up, and looking at our schedule for the rest of the year, it looks like we're right back on track. So sometimes you can't really anticipate some of these things that are going to happen, especially when it comes to Mother Nature. So now that we talked about that a little bit, I have here with me Bobby, who is the production manager for the business. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about some of the challenges that he's faced, not just with the scheduling portion of it, but also being out in the field or managing the field crew. So let's get right into that. So how do you feel about just getting things done, right? Like we just wrapped up so we can go, have some fun, right?
I'm so excited that we got the production side of the aeration completed. It's been a kind of a long process. We've done a lot more than normal for us this year. And then just some of the challenges that happened, as far as planning and when we thought we were going to get those done. But it is great to know that I am completely done with them as of right now.
So as I was talking at the beginning, with the scheduling part of the lawn aeration, how was that a challenge for you?
We just had a lot of unusual weather this year. We had a lot of rain. We had a lot of cold spells that kind of came late for us this year. The time that we normally are focused on doing the aerations and getting that production done just got moved and really kind of got pushed to a part of the year where we're a little bit more focused on our granular service. During the aerations, a lot of times we're finished up our pre-emergence and we're getting into where we're starting to get a lot of new customers, and we kind of have everything scheduled out to where we're managing new customers coming on, our existing customers we have, and their services, and then putting the aerations in as well. So with that piece being taken out, and we actually had a lot more new customers coming on, it was a good balance for us. We were able to really keep the business on track and forward, but it was just, it really hindered us on being able to get that aeration done. So it was a challenge because we ended up having to just kind of keep moving it. And it's one of those, and aeration, the way we do it, we have a lot of communication up front with the customers. They know more than a week ahead of time when we're coming out. And you have to really take that into consideration when you're doing that scheduling, that if it looks like it's 70, 80, 90% chance of bad weather, you don't want these people to get their lawn ready and then you're going to skip it because it's bad weather and then you're rescheduling it. So we really want it to be as optimum as possible when we start scheduling those aerations from a weather standpoint.
That's great. So when you're talking about the preparation side, when it comes to the customer, we send out like emails, we communicate with them and letting them know some of the things that they need to do, like flag their sprinkler system, and let us know if there are any obstacles or anything that might be under the ground, right? That we don't know about. Maybe it's natural spring or whatever it might be, right? Well, so we want to make sure that we're kind of covering every basis so we're not damaging anything that doesn't need to be damaged. So tell me a little bit about that as well. Like I can just imagine, we communicate, but when we get out there, what would you say, what's the ratio of, the number of people that actually do the things that they need to do to make sure that, we don't run over cable, we don't damage sprinkler heads or any other obstacles that they're familiar with and know of that's underground that we just simply don't know because we're not that familiar with the property as they are.
Sure. Absolutely. I would say that on average, about 50% of our customers actually get out there, flag the lawn, have it, sectioned off to where we know. Also with that, we kind of want the lawn to be mowed within a few days before. So once I'm walking through, one of our things that we do at every lawn that we go to is even if it's flagged, the technician is still walking that lawn to look there, see if there's something they might miss. A lot of times customers will think like, there's a big grate there. They'll see that, but when they're behind that machine, it's like 6 foot. You're kind of looking over the edge of your car. You can't see exactly where your bumper's at. So you kind of gotta want to have that flag so you can see where everything is and make sure you avoid those things. So the technicians always walk the lawn to see if there's anything else that we need a flag to kind of help us and then to just kind of look for those dangerous areas that could be possibilities. But so having that lawn mowed is also kind of a key point as well. And it definitely makes it easier for the technician if there's not 6 inches of grass they're trying to push this machine through. It's a lot easier to see sprinkler heads in case people forget, or the solenoid covers. I'd say the solenoid covers is the number one thing that people don't flag because they think it's just so obvious. But like I said, once again, you got 6 inches of grass, you're 6 feet behind. It's really hard to see some of that sometimes, and then you hit it, and it can be an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, for sure. And you hit on a couple really good points. So for our audience, so they know we actually, walk the property just like you said, not only looking for those obstacles, but one of the other important thing that you just pointed out was, safety issue, right? Because we also, as much as we, are on the property, the fact that we're not there every day, it's a good idea to walk it because what if there's a, big crater, right? And again, if you're behind that machine, you're not going to see that big crater or, it's, a lot of the lawns are just not perfect flat lawns, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So you have lawns that are going to have, bumps and valleys and
tree roots, and sometimes there's, the grade of the lawn can sometimes be very deceptive. I mean, where it looks like, oh, that's not that steep of a hill. Well, when you have this machine that's got a lot of force, a lot of power, then it's a little bit wet, and then it's already kicking up mud because it's pulling out these cores. It can be dangerous really fast. So you really need to know that lawn. If you're not familiar with that lawn, if that technician, our technicians, they do all the lawns, but some of them they've been doing for years and years. They know them inside and out, and they're more comfortable with them. But some of the newer ones, they really need to walk it and be aware because it's a different mentality when you're putting down granular or spraying for weeds versus running an aeration machine.
Yeah, and that aeration machine can really, it's really bulky, it's heavy, and sometimes you can lose control of it. So it's really important to try to stay in those flat areas, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And you're gonna run into some of the hilly areas, but one of the things that we do is encourage our employees to, when they run into an area where it just doesn't look safe or they're not sure about it, tell us a little bit about that and what our policy is as far as covering ourselves as far as from an injury standpoint, right?
Right. We always teach the technicians to think safety first. Walk the lawn, make sure everything looks good. If there's any areas you're in doubt, don't do it. Just don't take that chance. You can run the machine. Our machine actually will run without having the aeration pump being punctured into the ground. The tines actually go into the ground. So you can actually run the machine over it without it actually being activated and punching the holes in the ground to see how it can control, like, oh wow, this is pretty steep. It can't even get up it. So once you're in that situation, it's a lot easier to kind of test it out versus having that machine going full blast that's putting holes. And if you get to a point to where you can't push it up, it just sits there and pow, 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 and it just keeps driving holes in, you can really damage the lawn. So we always teach them, when in doubt, see if you can just drive the machine over without the tines being activated, because if you can't, then there's no chance of being able to do it that way. And then just really looking and being aware of where you're at. If you're going to be going backwards, is there a pool behind me? I don't need to fall in with the aeration machine in a pool. And then really being careful where you drive that machine over. If it's a patio, you can't, you don't really want to take a machine like that over steps or stairs, and take it onto a wooden patio, because you don't know how strong that wooden patio is. Having a flat rock surface, that's different, like a driveway. You're not typically going to break a driveway or sidewalk or something like that if you drive over it with this machine. But with a wooden patio, I don't take that chance, and I wouldn't want anybody else to take that chance. So we just skip those areas if we have to. And I can tell you 99% of the time, if a customer calls and says, hey, y'all didn't do this area here, and we explain to them, it's a safety issue. We can't get to it safely, or the machine doesn't fit in that area, or we have multiple machines that none of them can get in that area because you've got stairs that go from your front yard to the backyard, and there's just no way to around it. They understand. It's a lot easier to communicate to somebody that we're safe and we want to be safe. We want your stuff to also be taken care of, versus, oh, we can just muscle it through and try to get it through those rocks, and it's just not worth taking a chance with that machine and the safety, and then the damage to somebody's property, whether it's a stone walkway or a wall or anything like that. You just got to be very, very observant of what you're doing.
Absolutely. So, and it's not like we're not doing 95% of the lawn. We're actually doing 95 or 98% of the lawn. In many cases, we're doing 100% of the lawn. So it's that 2%.
Oh, absolutely. It's very minimal. I mean, it is. Out of the hundreds that we do, I mean, you're talking about 2 to 5 people that are like, oh wow, that's an area we can't do. It's like you said, 99% of the customers, we're doing 100% of the lawn.
Awesome. So going a little bit further into that, as far as the customers, after we explain it to them and, they understand that, hey, we didn't hit this particular area because, it's a safety issue. Like you said, they totally understand, and it's not something that, they're not asking for a refund or anything crazy like that. But if we were to be in a situation where, hey, am I going to get like a rebate because you didn't do 2% of my lawn, maybe to have a 10,000 square foot lawn and we didn't do, a small 200 square foot of it. And typically that's going to be it, right? Like maybe 100 square feet of a 8,000 square foot lawn that might get missed because it's a safety issue. Maybe it's an uphill or downhill or whatever it may be. So push comes to shove, if a customer is like just irate or for whatever reason, which I don't think we've ever had a case like that, but just for our audience, so if they run into a situation like that from a customer standpoint, what would you do to kind of calm them down, or give them a refund, or give them partial, or maybe something like an additional treatment next time, just to make them happy? What would you do?
Typically, obviously gauging what the customer, how they're talking, how long they've been with us, how much they spend with us. It all is a factor in how you take care of them. But typically, I would just give them something on the next service. I'm not going to discount that service we did today. I'm going to discount something in the future. So maybe I say, hey, on the next fertilization weed control, we'll go ahead and give you half off on that next one. And just to make it to where it's, a good win-win for both of us. I definitely don't want to be like, oh, I'm giving you $4, because that's about what that percentage is on the aeration. I don't want it to be like that. I want them to feel like that we heard what they said, but also I'm going to educate them that, hey, if this is a safety issue, it's going to be like this every time. So just know going forward, the next year when we come out to do this, we're not going to do that same area, and we're not going to adjust the price. The price is going to be this price, and the only reason why I'm doing it is because I want you to be educated on and hit your expectation. So for next year, the expectation would be just what we did today for the same price you did today, but because it's kind of a surprise for you today, I'm doing something for you on the next visit. But I'm not going to adjust my price every year because they have an area that we can't get to or whatever.
So when you're comparing like Lawn A, right? Lawn A that hasn't had lawn aeration compared to Lawn B that gets regular lawn aeration from year over year, what would you say the difference is? Do you see a considerable difference? Do you see a slight difference? Or in general, would you say lawn aeration is beneficial for the customer?
I would definitely say it's beneficial for the customer. It really helps to help the lawn thicken up over time. And when you pull those cores out and give the soil a chance to spread and let that air and water get down to the lower part of the root system. I mean, it's one of those things you can really tell year over year the people who get it and those who don't. I mean, I almost always can tell that, hey, these people are getting aeration, or if I go look at that lawn, I think, man, they really need an aeration. I'll look and they haven't had one in 2, 3, 4 years. So a lot of it too is in those high traffic areas where they're walking and walking and walking and kind of beating it down. That aeration can really loosen that area up, gives the grass a chance to kind of thicken up, pop out, and it definitely makes the color better. I think the overall health of the lawn is greatly increased.
Awesome, awesome. And for our audience, I hope this was helpful. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell button so you're notified of my future videos. See you next time, lawn care pros.